Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm the Book Geek, and I'm actually going to move closer because I feel like I'm far away. Today I'm going to do my wrap up for the first season of Black Mirror. I've just started watching Black Mirror, and I just recently finished the few episodes of season 1, and so I wanted to discuss all of those episodes in one video. So, I think this show is so unique and so interesting, and it brings us a whole new type of storytelling centered around technology and computers. And in the first episode, titled "The National Anthem," we see how the princess has been kidnapped, and the person who is holding her hostage has demanded that the prime minister have sex with a pig live on camera for everyone to see before he will release the princess. So he doesn't want any money. He doesn't, in exchange for the princess. He just wants the prime minister to commit to this nasty ordeal. He just wants the prime minister to follow through with this terrible idea that he has. It's very much geared towards social media. You can see in this episode the pressure that the prime minister and the rest of the government and the people that are involved with the situation are feeling because of the things that people are saying on the internet. You know, if he doesn't do this, X, Y, and Z could happen to the princess, and then everybody is going to think this way about him. If he does do this, everyone is going to think this way about him. And there was a lot of pressure coming from society about the things that they were posting on the internet that kind of like forced his hand and forced the people who are around him who talked him into finally doing this. They kind of forced the situation to happen. Social media has a huge influence on people's lives. We see that now in real life when, say for instance, a celebrity does something that's a lot of people do not favor. They'll go ranting and raving on social media, so much so that this person actually feels like they have to put out a statement, or they feel like they have to retract the things that they said or did, or they feel like they have to apologize for the things that they said or did because of the pressures of social media and the huge influence that they can have. Like, just that quick, somebody who is very popular and at the top of the totem pole as far as popularity is concerned could, wither down to almost nothing because of what people say about them on social media. And a lot of people like to jump on bandwagons, so all it takes is one person to have that type of influence and start a trending topic about somebody, and then boom, here it is. It's a trending topic, and everybody is jumping on the bandwagon and saying the same thing about this individual. If you think about it, the type of negative effects that social media can have on a person's life is almost like bullying, because people are internet bullies and internet thugs, and they get on their phones and their tablets and their computer screens and they say whatever they want because they are protected by the distance that they have through the power of the internet. They are protected through the Black Mirror. And, this episode also shines a light on how people will view almost anything on the internet if it is trending. This was a trending topic. Everyone was in their house watching and waiting for this to happen. To see it live on their TV screens and on their devices. There was nobody outside on the street practically. Nobody. It was like a ghost town because everybody was inside on their computer screens on their telephones waiting to watch a man have sex with a pig, because that was the newest trending thing that was happening. It's quite disturbing, because if you think about it, if the person who was holding the princess hostage, if he really wanted to, he could have left the princess tied up wherever she was, and he could have went out and robbed a bunch of places, because nobody was paying attention to anything that was going on in the real world outside their doors, because everybody was tuned in to watch this on television. Anybody could have been out there committing a number of crimes if they wanted to. It was like Christmas. Anybody could do anything. It was interesting. And then at the end, the conflict and the wedge that this caused between the prime minister and his wife, and how they were faking that everything was okay for the cameras and the TV screens. I mean, we see that now. We see that all the time. People are one way in front of the camera. They put on a facade for social media, for the internet, for the public, for publicity purposes. But behind closed doors, there's something more sinister going on, or something much more heinous going on, or just something much more, or just issues going on in general. And so, yeah, this really proves, the power of social media, the power that people on the internet can have, and, how trending topics work in the world of the internet. In episode 2, titled 15 Million Merits, we have a bunch of people. They're living in some sort of facility, and they have to earn merit points. There's a sort of point system that they earn by cycling and doing all these other different type of activities. And the way to get out of that constant repetitious sort of lifestyle is to go and audition on this show called Hot Shot. And so this one was very, very interesting. It reminded me a lot of this movie called The Island. It stars Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor. I think that's how you pronounce his name. If you haven't seen that movie, you should really go check it out. But they were also held in a sort of facility, and they had points and all this other stuff. But in the movie The Island, what kept the people living in this facility motivated was the promise of some sort of reward. So they would put people into a lottery, and someone's name would get chosen by random, and if your name got chosen, you would go away to this paradise that they called the island, but really there was no such paradise. And this episode kind of reminded me of that, because they keep these people motivated with the reward of the hot shot, because if they can get on this show and win and be chosen by the judges, then it relieves them from this, this boring life that they live, where everything is the same every day, and it gives them the idea that there is something greater out there, and the hot shot is their way to get there. So in this episode, we have a young man. Oh my God, what's his name? I can't remember anybody's name in this episode. The black guy. He gives up all his merit points to this girl that he likes, so that she can go and audition for the show Hot Shot. And it's very interesting that everything, they had to pay for everything. Toothpaste, everything. They had to use their merit points to pay for food, to pay for toothpaste. And what else I found very, very interesting is the little pop-up advertisements that would pop up, and how you got penalized if you wanted to skip those ads. But anyway, he gives up a lot of his merit points to her so that she can go audition for the show. And she gets chosen, but not as a singer, as a porno star. And so he ends up earning a lot of points back so that he can go and audition for this show, so that he can say his piece to the judges and to everyone out there listening about the way that they are treating these people. I would have liked to see what the outside world looked like, and how everyone ended up in this facility. The cycles that they were peddling on every day was generating energy. It was like everyone in this facility was powering something larger. And I'm wondering how much of the world, or how much energy, or how much of whatever outside of that place were they generating power for. The woman that he gave his merit points up for actually accepts this role as a porno star. And it almost sends the message, at least it did to me, that, you know, people will do almost anything for stardom, for money, or for a better life. Now, they did have her drink this thing called compliance, that I think it helped motivate her into saying yes. It helped her be compliant with whatever choice and option that the judges offered her. She just was going to accept it anyway, I think, because she drank that cup of compliance. What else was interesting about this episode was the fact that when you go to audition for Hot Shot, everyone is in like this one huge room, and you know, everybody's practicing what they're going to do when they get out on stage, and only certain people are picked based off of how they look. So the pretty ones, and when they need a ethnic one, they chose, I believe his name is Bing. Let me go check. Yes, so the black guy who gave away his merit points, his name is Bing. So when he went to go audition, he only got chosen because he was black, and they wanted to show diversity. They wanted to choose somebody of a different ethnic group, and so that is the only reason why he got chosen. Now, Bing, pretty much at this point, when he goes to the show, is sick of the system, and he doesn't like what they did and how they corrupted this girl that he liked. They took away the last one. They took away the last friend that he had, the last person that he loved or liked, and he has some things to say to them. He has a message for everyone out there. And so I found it interesting that although he hated the system at this point, when he got offered a higher position to take him out of that life that he was living, that he did not find desirable, he accepted. So it's kind of like, you know, everybody hates the system until they are elevated, until they're on top, until they're elevated. And even if it's the system that they despise that helped them elevate, he was, you know, people are still willing, he was still willing to take them up on their offer and rise to that occasion, even though it was something that was given to him by his oppressors, by the people that he despised, by the system that he despised. And so, you know, it's kind of like the same thing. People will do almost anything to come out of adversity. If they are oppressed, they will do almost anything to come out of that situation. People will do almost anything for fame and stardom. It's desperation that leads people to do such things. And that was the case in this episode. Also, getting back to the physical attributes that they favored when they pick and choose people. We also see that the heavy set people and the overweight people are dressed all in yellow, and they're the ones who have to clean up behind everyone else. They are like the janitors of this facility. They have to clean up everyone's messes. And they put them in bright yellow uniforms so that everyone can notice them. It's kind of like they've been ostracized. And they even have like these computerized video games that feature the overweight or fat or heavy-set janitors in these games, and people, are beating them up and hurting them. So it's kind of like in society we have heavy-set people and overweight people and fat people, if you want to say that. I don't like to call them fat, but who have to deal with people treating them a certain type of way because of their physical, because of how they look physically, because of their weight. And so that was a great example in this episode as well of how a certain type of people who look a certain type of way get treated differently than other people who are considered more desirable. And then to have these overweight people picking up trash is kind of resembles the way that people actually treat them. People treat overweight people like trash, and to have the overweight people picking up the trash, it was kind of metaphorical in a sense. At the end of episode 2, you see Bing in a new location. It seems like he doesn't have to cycle anymore. He doesn't have to live that same repetitious life that he was living before. But he still doesn't look too happy. And at the end, you see him staring out of a window, or what looks like a window. I'm still confused as to whether it's actually a window that's looking into the outside world, or if it's just a bunch of screens. But it kind of sends this message that, yeah, he ended up with a better life, if you want to say that, because he doesn't have to keep doing the things that he was doing before that he didn't really find desirable. So yeah, he's in a better position, and he's living a better life, materialistically speaking. But I don't think that that's enough to live a happy life. And I think that is the message that they were trying to send in the end, which is why I believe those were just TV screens and not the outside world. He's just moved to a higher location, a better location. He's put in a better living situation, but it's the materialistic things aren't what is making him happy. It's not enough to make a person happy. At the end of the day, materialistic things are just that, material. And he still lost the one good thing that he had in his life that actually brought him some happiness. So if you think about it, it's very fucking sad. It was a sad episode. We also see, because during the episode, when he was trying to gain the woman's affections and things of that nature, he would make her little paper animals. And then in the end, when he's in his new place, his new home, we see the same sort of animal, a penguin, I believe. Except it's not made out of paper. It's a much nicer version of the animals that he used to make out of paper. It's a wood-carved penguin. But it is just something that is materialistic, that isn't sentimental to him, like the paper penguins that he used to make. I hope that makes sense. So it proves that all the other things I said, and also that money cannot buy happiness. Status cannot buy you happiness. You need something real in your life for your life to be fulfilled and fulfilling. In episode 3, the entire history of you, we have a married couple, and most people, if not everyone, they have these implants inside of them where they can rewatch old memories and things of that nature. This chip is constantly recording everything. And so Liam becomes suspicious of his wife, and he discovers that she has cheated on him, and he suspects that the child that they just recently had together may not be his. And so this episode brings forth the question of, do you really want to remember everything? Because there are things that happen to us in our life that are tragic, are upsetting, that we just want to forget. And naturally, our brains, the way they work, if we dealt with some sort of trauma, sometimes your brain will try to erase it for you or block it, so to speak. So for instance, I'm going to pull from some personal experiences. I dealt with something very traumatic as a child, and I had repressed that memory of that situation happening to me. And it wasn't until years later, when I was adult, maybe when my mind thought that maybe I could, deal with the situation better at this age. It wasn't until I was an adult that the memory started to come back to me. Something ended up triggering it, and then these memories came back to me, and then all of a sudden I remember these horrible things that happened to me as a child. And so, that happens to us for a reason, because some things are too stressful and traumatic to deal with. And so if you have this chip in your head where you can constantly relive those traumatic experiences over and over again, it is likely to make you go crazy, like Liam in this situation drove himself insane with jealousy. He became so overcome with jealousy and needing to know every detail, and he really became obsessed about the thought of his wife having an affair, which naturally, his reaction to me was natural. But perhaps before he even got implanted or whatever, he already was a little possessive or obsessive about things or insecure. And just having this chip in his head where he know he could just go back and justify his actions in any sort of way by repeating any memory, it further led to his decline and ultimately his breakup with his wife. Now, it was proven that she did cheat and that this baby might not be his. So he was right to question her on the situation. But see, this is a gray area, because the technology that they used in this episode would be great for certain situations, but not so great for other situations. And it would be great for certain people who are in control of their lives, who are in control of certain things in their lives, but not so great for other people. Not so great for people like Liam, who tend to become overly possessive and overly obsessive and overly jealous about certain situations, because now they have this thing that they can use as sort of an enabler for their behavior. In the end, he ends up cutting out this chip. We see him reliving memories, rewatching memories of his wife, and he just becomes so overcome with emotion that he doesn't want to deal with the pain that this whole situation has caused. So he goes and rips out his chip. He just cuts it right out of his head. And it's in that moment that I think that he realized that, number one, there's a reason why we forget things. Number two, I don't want to have to keep reliving this moment. And number three, maybe this chip is the cause of some of my behavior. Maybe he's realizing that he needs to change. That this type of technology is not something that's for him. That this is the root cause of some of his jealousy and his issues. In the end, it becomes too much for him to handle, and he realizes that he needs to get rid of the chip. I thought this was a great episode. I believe some people, when they saw this episode, thought that he might have hurt his wife in the end, because we don't see her in the house. We just see him walking through the house and reliving certain moments in his mind. And I don't think that he hurt her. I think that she left the home, and he just became so overpowered with emotion that he cut the chip out. But I do think that he was probably already a very insecure person, because we see in the beginning he's like at a meeting with these people, and later on when he's talking to his wife, he's very insecure about the way that this meeting went. He's saying all these negative things about the meeting and what they must have been thinking, and what's not going to happen. And she is there trying to encourage him that, it's going to be okay. Trying to, encourage him and give him some uplifting words. And he is just so insecure. So we get a good glimpse of his attitude early on in the episode. So I think even before he was ever implanted with a chip, he was already very insecure. When Liam cut out the chip, that was his redemption moment. And so I just keep coming back to the question, like, do you want to remember everything? Do you want to relive those moments? That could cause a lot of heartache and pain, having to relive certain things. I mean, you don't have to. You have the control. You have the button in your hand. You can rewind and rewatch things by your choosing. But if you have the technology to rewatch certain things, most people probably would do it and then put themselves through so much anguish because of it. It would cause a lot of heartache and pain. You don't have to press that button, but you have that button to press. You have that option, and you know that you can press that button, and most people would because of temptation. I thought this one was very, very interesting. Of the 3 episodes of season 1, I'm going to say that my favorite one was 15 Million Merits. I thought that one, that episode was just very sad to me. I love the storytelling in that episode and all the messages that one delivered. I thought that one was really great. I really loved that one. That was my favorite one of the season. So anyway, guys, that is my wrap-up / review of the first season of Black Mirror. I hope that you enjoyed what I had to say. I won't be doing reaction videos to Black Mirror. I have a few other TV shows that I'm going to be starting, or that I have started, and you might see some reaction videos for some of those, but not for Black Mirror, at least not the earlier seasons. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications so you know each time I post a video. I'm going to be starting season 2 pretty soon, so look out for my season 2 Black Mirror wrap up and review coming soon. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.